All right, so today is part one of 2 days. So we are going to be figuring out how we can solve compound inequalities and absolute value equations.
So the word compound, we're going to talk about a compound statement. That means it's made up of more than one equation or inequality.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about, sure.
Quick.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We're going to talk about different types of compound statements. There's one, it's called a disjunction, and another one which is called a conjunction.
Okay.
So disjunction, all that means is still it's made up of more than one equation
So
or
still
inequality,
compound.
still compound, but it uses the word or. That's it.
And the reason we use or is because if you look at this, there's nothing in the middle.
Right.
So it's one answer or the other one.
Right. And it says it's true if and only if at least one of its parts are true.
Okay, so only one has to work.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. A conjunction now is a little bit different. It uses the word and. So that means, as you can see by this picture, it has to be true in both statements. Okay. That's what conjunction means.
It has plugged in the answer, it would work for both of them.
Right.
Okay.
And notice they're overlapping there, and so it's the word and.
Okay.
Okay. So let's move on.
Ooh,
we forgot something. Okay. Oh yes. Hold on. Let me flip back here. There we go. And I'll show you how is this good?
That's good.
Okay.
So the or, if you look here, it's got the U.
Oh yes.
And the and has the upside down U.
Yes.
And it kind of looks like the start of an A, right? You
right.
do this, and then you do that.
Yes.
So that's how we remember. That's one's the and, the other one's the or.
Great. Thank you, Miss Boyd. So let's go on to an example.
Okay.
Solve the compound inequality, then we're going to graph it.
Okay.
So let's start with, we have, again, two inequalities. So let's start, we know how to solve an inequality.
6y less than negative 24.
Right.
And we got a y plus 5
is greater than or equal to 3. Yep. So if you look on the left side there, we have to get y by itself. Yeah. So we have to divide both sides by 6.
Now we're dividing by a positive, so our sign stays the same.
Right.
So we're left with y less than
negative 4. Or, don't forget to write the word or. Do not forget that.
Because it told us
right. That. And now we're going to get y by itself again. So this time we're going to subtract 5.
And when we subtract, we still keep the same sign.
Right. Is greater than or equal to negative 2. That's your solution, but now we have to graph it.
Okay. And I like to just put the numbers.
I do too.
So I got a negative 4 here.
Yep.
Negative 2 comes before it.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. So let's start with the negative 4. We've already learned if it's an less than and there's no equal sign, that means it's an open circle. And I like to use the nose pointer trick.
Yep.
The arrow, it's pointing to the left. So draw. That's it.
Awesome.
The other one has the equal sign, so you know it's a closed circle.
Solid.
And the nose is pointing to the right. That's it.
That's our answer.
Okay, so the next one, we are going to do the next one. It's a little bit different because it's an and.
Right.
Again, we're going to solve it the same way we did the last one. Miss Boyd's going to write it out here. And notice 2x greater than or equal to negative 6. We need to get the x by itself.
Okay.
Divide both sides by 2. And x is greater than or equal to negative 3. And let's write the word and. So we don't forget. I highly recommend that. But notice, what are we going to do here, Miss Boyd? What are we dividing by?
We're dividing by a negative 1 this time. Because anytime there's no number, it's a 1.
Right.
When we divide by a negative, we got to flip our sign.
Right.
So the negatives cancel. We're left with x is
less than 4
now. That's
your solution set, but now we have to graph it.
All right. So here's a negative 3. Here's a 4.
Right. We know it's a closed circle on negative 3 because it's greater than or equal to. And you're going to go to the right because the nose, I call it the nose pointer, is pointing to the right. Now it's an open circle on the 4 because it's less than. And you're going to the left. So what you're looking for an and statement, the solution is where the two overlap.
So right in
Yep.
here.
So if you did not do what Miss Boyd did, where she colored that in blue, your answer would not be correct.
Yeah.
You have to specify for us, or perfect, that's exactly what I was going to say. And if you do exactly what Miss Boyd did, you are correct.
Okay.
So and means it occurs in both sets, so it overlaps.
Got it.
Are we good? All right, let's go on down to the next page, actually. And we're gonna, we are gonna do this one.
Yes.
Yep, okay.
It's a little different still.
Yep, so we'll write it out.
So x minus 5 is less than 12.
Or,
and 6x
yep.
less than or equal to 12.
Again, let's add 5 to both sides.
All right.
So you're gonna end up with x is less than 17, or divide both sides by
6.
Right?
And since we're dividing by a positive, the sign stays the
Yep.
same.
X is less than or equal to 2. And we graph.
All right. So I've got
2 and 17.
17.
And now be very careful, because some of you may mess up and draw your error the wrong way. So be careful you're looking at the right one.
Correct.
So let's look at the x less than 17. So go to the 17 and you're going to the left.
'Cause it's less than.
Right. And on the 2, it's a closed circle. And again, you're going to the left.
That's weird.
Now, some of you may say, well, wait. Oh, okay, yeah. It's where the 2 overlap. No,
because this
that's
is an or
and,
problem.
right. So because it's an or, that means it can occur in one or the other.
Okay.
And because the every solution set that's in the x less than or equal to 2 is also in the set x is less than 17.
That makes sense. Yep.
So your final answer then will be just x is less than 17.
It's not equal.
Yep.
Okay.
And
X is less than 17.
so your final graph then, actually, if we draw one more little line, Miss Boyd, and all we really need is a 17, but you need an open circle and all the way to the left, and you're done.
All right. So
But it's because it's an or,
Yep.
and it's because every solution that's less than or equal to 2 is
Would
also be less than 17.
All right, that makes
Okay?
sense.
All right, we are going to skip the next one, and we're going to do that in class. So let's go to the next page, because now we're going to switch over to absolute value.
All right.
Now, the key thing to remember on absolute value represents a distance.
Distance.
And in this picture here, it's the distance from x
From 0.
from 0. Yeah, I'm just reading what it says, the distance from x to 0 on the number line. So basically what absolute value is, it's a distance. Your distance in this case from 0. But it's not always the distance from 0.
Right.
Just in this case it is. And that's why you always get a positive number when you take the absolute value of a number, because a distance can never be negative.
Right. You can't go negative 12 miles.
Right, exactly. Okay. So is there anything else you wanted to point out here?
And I like to think about these as kind of like showers.
Yes.
So they wash away the negativity. So
I
it's
like
always
it.
positive.
Yes. And notice, we're going to always, I want to point this out before we go on to an example, you're going to get 2 answers when you're solving an absolute value equation, because there are 2 different numbers in this case that are a certain distance away from another number, because you have numbers to the right and numbers to the left.
Same distance.
Yep.
Got it.
So, oh, look, we have a little bit more. I think we kind of talked about this. So we'll go, let's just, notice it's a disjunction because it's using or. So let's go on to this. Here's our example.
Okay.
Example 5, everyone should be on right now.
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do, always, the absolute value signs are going to disappear.
Okay.
And we're going to write 2 separate equations. And notice what Miss Boyd just did. She started with the exact equation, -3 plus k equals 10. And then she has another one, -3 plus k equals -10.
So always do the opposite.
Always do the opposite, right? Because we're talking about a distance away from a certain number.
Right.
There's numbers to the right of it and numbers to the left.
Awesome.
And I'm going to tell you to do one more thing.
Okay.
We should put the word or in between,
yes.
because it's a disjunction.
So we don't forget.
Right.
Absolute value is always or.
Yep. So let's solve. Add 3 to both sides.
3, we get k equals 13.
Right.
And then we're going to add 3.
Yep.
Notice this time we don't get a positive 13 and a negative 13.
Right.
Because it just comes out to -7.
Right.
And that's okay. You're not going to get the same number every time.
So
because we're adding stuff on.
Right. And so we're gonna show you something here so you can kind of understand what we're doing. But right now we have 2 answers. k equals 13 or k equals negative 7. So if we wrote on the number line, I'm going to have Miss Boyd write 3 different numbers for me.
Okay.
Negative 7, 3, and 13.
Okay.
So notice our answers, 13 and negative 7. They are both 10 units away from 3.
3.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which was our number there.
Right. So that's why we used the 10 and the negative 10 above, because it's basically saying negative 7 is, negative 7 is 10 units to the left of 3, and 13 is 10 units to the right of 3.
Okay.
So I always like to draw that picture and it helps.
You don't have to do that.
No.
Why.
Why don't we circle what the final answer is, or write it what the final answer so they know.
Okay.
So it's really going to be k equals 13 or
negative 7.
Right. That is the final answer. Okay? All right. So we should probably do this one really quick here. Notice, I'm going to go up a minute and show them. Notice here, the absolute value is all by itself. There's nothing else over here but the absolute value.
Nothing else added or subtracted outside of it.
Thank you.
Value. Okay.
Here, there is.
Yes.
So before you write the 2 equations, you have to isolate the absolute value.
So that
you have
means
to
get it by itself.
So you have to add 8 to both sides.
That 8, so we just add 8 to both sides.
Exactly.
So we're left with absolute value of 6x equals 30. Now you do your 2.
Yes.
And
so
I kind of sometimes like to do this. So I remember.
Oh, great. I love it.
So I have 16x
Not 16 though.
Sorry, that's absolute value.
Yes,
See,
I
that's
know.
how you get confused.
Yeah. But that's why we're doing this together, Miss Boyd, right?
Thank you.
So we have 6x equals 30.
You stopped me mid. All right. And then 6x equals
negative 30.
Okay.
So
now I'm ready.
Divide both sides by 6.
Divide by 6.
So you're going to get x equals 5. Or, let's just write the word or right away.
Or.
And divide both sides by 6.
And this time it happens to be a positive 5.
Yep, it just happens that way. Yep. So now, guess what your final answer is? We don't have to graph this one. We'll just write
x equals
5 or x. 5. Yep, or negative 5. Either, yeah. Perfect. That's it.
Nice.
So now, if we go to the next page, it looks like it's the video questions.
Awesome.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.